In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Luke's X-Wing for the Vintage Collection. So this release was kind of a sleeper, actually. It's not one that received a lot of wide release. I think it may have been an online exclusive. And the only places I really saw it online was maybe like Entertainment Earth, or if there was individual sellers on sites like Amazon that were charging way above retail for this particular X-Wing. So it's not something that collectors had easy access to. After I got this on eBay, it was released around the end of 2019 into 2020. It was pretty expensive for the time as well. I think it was $100 even for this, which is outrageous for an X-Wing. Especially a couple years before that, it was about half the price. And there's really no new tooling involved with this. It's just a repaint basically of the Biggs Darklighter X-Wing that was released with the original run of the TVC line. Regardless though, it is a very nice X-Wing. I'm glad to own it for my collection. I've never had an X-Wing before this, so it was a nice treat for me. No better X-Wing to own for your collection than Luke's. So unfortunately I don't have the package here to show you anymore. I threw that away a long time ago, but it's pretty standard what you can expect for the TVC line. In fact, I'll just post a image of it right here. It does have that old A New Hope Princess Leia on it, which hopefully we get an update for A New Hope Leia soon. So with that being said, let's take a look, let's see what this X-Wing has to offer. So it's pretty large. The space I have here, it pretty much takes up the whole thing, and it can barely fit on the camera, as you can see. And the landing gear on this isn't very good either. Unfortunately, especially this one, it just wants to go back into its flight mode as much as possible. So here's what the back of it looks like. Pretty nice detailing in those engines there. So what it looks like from this angle. Hasbro did paint a lot of weathering on this. Looks really nice. You can definitely tell it's seen some action. And here's what it looks like from the front. Pretty good detailing. Like I said, that landing gear doesn't want to stay in the place too well for both of them. The front one's okay. It's these rear ones that are the problem. I do have the particular X-Wing Luke and the R2-D2 that's meant to go along with this. I do have the R2 reviewed on the channel if you want to check that out, and Luke will get his own individual review at some point. So we'll go ahead and take a look to see what's in the cockpit. Pops up no problem. And I have his stand on the side right here. So Hasbro did include the targeting computer with this one. I'm not sure if that was in the Biggs X-Wing or not. But it's nice detail that they did that. And on top of that, you can move it out of the way. So there is a lot of room in there for the X-Wing Luke. Fits in very nicely. I don't have to struggle to put them in a spot. So you can see what it looks like in the inside there. A lot of good sculpting work. There's the dashboard there. And it actually doesn't stay in the place very well. It pops out no problem. And then the hatch here just clicks into place. Next we'll take a look at R2 on top here. Nothing too much to really see there. I'll just move this up here. You can see some of that detailing. A lot of good sculpting work on this, but it is a very fragile fighter, I will say. Probably the most fragile one I've ever owned. Just feels like it could fall apart just by looking at it. But R2 slots in no problem there. And of course the landing gear, that does not want to stay in place at all. You have the front one here, which you can push up like this. And you have this bottom latch here. And he also does have this missile that you can rotate around. And he also has this latch here, which I'm not too sure exactly what it's for. Or maybe like a storage compartment or something like that. and to this day I haven't found anything online that indicates otherwise. So he does have this missile here that I mentioned, and just remove the wings there, and we'll show you what this does. So it just shoots out like so. Not something you really see on too many vehicles these days in the Star Wars line, but you can rotate this around, no problem. It's the bottom landing gear like it always wants to do. It can fold up and go in the attack position. Then last thing we'll take a look at is, you may have noticed this little lever here, so you can actually put your X-Wing in attack position like so, and if you move it to the right hand side there, it will keep your wings in the attack position. They are very fragile. You can take all the wings off if you want to, in case you need to store it, but these blasters here, as you can see, they just don't want to stay in the place. But still, if you can find a good enough display for this, it looks really nice. I do have a clear stand for this that I haven't put together yet. It was something I just bought off of eBay, where you can put the X-Wing on display in its attack position. So something to consider. We'll point out something else too, is like the engine wells there. Nice detailing in that. But other than that, I think that's all there is to really point out with this Luke's X-Wing. Would I recommend it for your collection? As you can see there, as the landing gear wants to fold back up again. Personally, I have nothing really to compare this to, because this is the only X-Wing I've ever owned. But just based upon my experience with this, and a little bit of my knowledge of some of the X-Wings of the past, if you skip out on this one, I don't think it's that big of a deal. And if you really want to have an X-Wing for your collection, I would consider some of the other ones that were released in the past. I don't know if they were better or worse than this one, but from my experience, this X-Wing's pretty fragile. If you're looking for something with a lot of play value and something that you're going to be using a lot, this is just too fragile for that. The wings want to pop off every chance possible. The landing gear doesn't want to stay in the place very well. It's good for display purposes if you're wanting to use it for dioramas. I don't think you can get this for retail price at this point. Last I've checked, this goes maybe in the high 100s or the $200 range, which I think is overpriced for what this is. Like I said, this is pretty much just a repaint of the Biggs Darklighter X-Wing from almost 10 years ago at this point. As iconic as this X-Wing is, if you can find one that's a little bit cheaper and possibly a little bit better, I might go with that one instead of this one. However, if you're very adamant about having a Luke's X-Wing from the vintage collection in your personal collection, by all means go for it. It's okay for what it is. Like I said, if you want to display it, it's fine. But if you're looking for something with a little bit more play value to it, I don't think this is the piece to own. So anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more reviews in the future. There will be plenty more to come. And if you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate your support. And check out that Instagram link in the description as well. More content will be posted on that. And thanks for watching.